Imagine the entire 4.5 billion year history of Earth compressed into a single 24-hour day. Do you know when humans finally show up? Just a few seconds before midnight, to be exact, the final 4 seconds. But in those fleeting moments, our story begins in Africa. 300,000 years ago, when Homo sapiens, our direct ancestors, first opened their eyes to the world, they didn't see the landscapes we see today. We usually think of the Ice Age featuring mammoths or saber-toothed cats in Europe and North America. But right here, in our ancestral home of Africa, a Jurassic Park version of mammals was in full swing. We're talking about elephants as tall as buildings, buffalo with horns wider than a car, and man-eating monkeys. Today, let's travel back in time to the cradle of humanity to see which monsters our ancestors had to survive, and more importantly, why did they vanish while we survived? Welcome to the journey. First, let's talk scale. If you think modern African elephants are big, I'm sorry, but they're just dwarfs compared to Palaeoloxodon Recki. This was the largest land mammal to ever walk the earth during human history. Just look at these stats. 14 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing a staggering 15 tons. To put that in perspective, it was heavier than a T-Rex and double the weight of the largest African elephant alive today. But size wasn't the scariest part. Look at those tusks. While modern elephants have curved tusks, Palaeoloxodon had straight, massive spears that nearly touched the ground. Scientists believe they used them like giant shovels to plow the earth for food or to flip any obstacle in their path. Interestingly, they had a massive bony crest on their forehead. It looks bizarre, but it served as an anchor for colossal neck muscles, allowing them to swing that heavy head like a literal wrecking ball in battle. And here is the craziest part. Our ancestors hunted them. You heard that right. With nothing but wooden spears and primitive stone tools, Homo sapiens and other early humans took down these 15-ton tanks. How did they do it without being crushed? It remains a stunning testament to human intelligence from the very beginning. If hunting elephants was a rare and deadly feat, the everyday terror for our ancestors came from a different beast, the giant buffalo, Syncerus antiquus. This buffalo was 10 feet long and stood over 6 feet tall, taller than the average grown man. But its weaponry was the real killer, a horn span reaching 10 feet from tip to tip. Imagine walking through the bush and encountering a creature with horns as wide as a soccer goal, charging at you at 30 miles per hour. Cave paintings suggest this species was incredibly aggressive, often depicted with its head lowered, ready to gore anything in its way. If modern Cape buffalo are nicknamed the Black Death, their giant ancestors were undoubtedly a black nightmare. And the savanna didn't stop there. Meet Metridioquirus, a giant warthog the size of a bull. If Pumbaa from The Lion King seems cute to you, think again. This Pumbaa weighed over 1,000 pounds and had 4 tusks jutting out of its face. While they were herbivores, those 4 facial swords meant they were ready to fight to the death against any predator, including humans. This is the most fascinating part of today's script. When we talk about humans back then, we aren't just talking about us. Africa at that time was like a multiverse of human species. We were not alone. To the south, there was Homo naledi. They were small, with brains the size of an orange, and they still climbed trees. They were like the hobbits of Africa, hiding away in cramped, deep cave systems. But the most formidable was Homo heidelbergensis. These were our true big brothers. They were tall, muscular like bodybuilders, and had brains nearly as large as ours. They mastered fire, crafted complex spears, and studies of their ear bones suggest something incredible. They could talk. What happened when our ancestors met them? Was it a friendly greeting? A bloody war for territory? Or a more romantic interbreeding? Modern science leans toward the idea of hybridization. The blood of those giants might still be flowing in the DNA of some people living today. If you had to pick the scariest creature to bump into at night, it wasn't an elephant or a buffalo. It was Dinopithecus, the terrible baboon. Imagine a baboon the size of a grown man, weighing nearly 180 pounds, with fangs longer than a lion's. Modern baboons mostly eat plants, but Dinopithecus was an opportunist. Tooth analysis suggests a terrifying possibility that smaller human species like Homo naledi might have been on their menu. Finally, the award for the most glitched creature goes to Rusingorix. On the outside, it looked like a standard wildebeest, but inside its skull, it had a hollow nasal structure identical to the duck-billed dinosaurs that went extinct millions of years prior. This nose acted like a natural speaker, allowing them to produce infrasound, sound at such a low frequency that humans standing right next to them couldn't hear a thing. It was a perfect form of acoustic stealth for communicating right under a predator's nose. So the big question is, where did all these monsters go? Why did 15-ton elephants, 10-foot buffalo, and our heidelbergensis cousins vanish, leaving only us? There are two main theories. One is climate change. The other is us. The overkill hypothesis suggests that the rapid development of human weapons and strategy pushed these giants to the brink. However, there's a fascinating twist. Africa is the only place left on Earth that still has so many megafauna, like elephants, rhinos, and giraffes. Why? Because the animals here evolved alongside us. They learned to fear us. They learned to avoid the small but dangerous two-legged creature hundreds of thousands of years ago. Meanwhile, animals in the Americas or Australia didn't know to be afraid when they first met humans, and the result was total extinction. What do you think? If you could bring one species back, would you be brave enough to bring back the terrible baboon? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for our next time-traveling adventure. See you next time.